zamunotenga nenzira dzakanaka muzose zvinhu zvose zamunenge matora tisare tinotora zvinhu zvemazedo zoserai zvinhu zvose zvatorwa kumuvengi taura ezenetsika kuru tengererano kuti mazenzesese zvakananga nsangano tisaite cheupombwe muhondo yechemwenga
zvisinei mhuri yezimbabwe ndizvo zvinoita. Thank you so much for tuning in and choosing Zimnet Radio. I know that for a fact that there is lots and lots of things happening out there, and some people chose to listen to this show the little time they have to spend with their families and their girlfriends or their wives and all that kind of stuff. But I thank you for listening to the station and also to this show in particular, because I'm humbled with the numbers of people that listen every Thursday on the show. Without you guys, there is no show. Like I always say, Kuti, if you don't turn up to listen, really, this show would have been closed long time ago. We would have started something else. But because you guys, you listen, you keep us going. That's why we come on air every Thursday to present this show. For that, I thank you. And also, a big thank you to my panelists. These guys come here to share their knowledge and also their opinions out there. It is not easy. I know that in diaspora people have got other things to do, but for them, they come here, they make the show, they discuss, they give us topics and all that. I thank you all, guys. Now, first thing is first. My name is DJ Sodza, by the way. For those that are just tuning in, I can see you. Maybe you're tuning in for the first time, for that matter. Now, let me tell you something. Myself, I'm going on holiday. So I'm going to recharge the batteries, but nothing to worry. My colleague DJ GV3 will be in charge of the show whilst I will be away, and he will be here every Thursday delivering the show to you. And I will be back on the 20th of October. I'll be back on the 20th of October, and hope to see you well. And I shall be well, and I recharge my batteries then. But anyhow, let me introduce the panel for today before I go any further. Let me start with you, Sally, there in South Africa. Good evening.
Good evening, DJ Sodza. I thank you so much for playing my music.
Yes, you loved that, didn't you?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. It took me back to Munyaradzi and Bryce and the dancing, and it was just beautiful. Thank you very much. Good evening, Zimbabweans, wherever you are. Good evening, Chief. Please don't ask me to say your other name. Everybody's laughing. Good evening, my Sekuru, and good evening, my darling Tish.
Oh, lovely. Sekuru, masquera sei ku Birmingham. It is very nice to have you here on the show, Sekuru.
Yeah, nothing to do because I'm Gabe ku United Nations.
I'm sure he had a wonderful time there.
Na Coltrane chimrenga wao sagado.
Thank you so much. Mkoma Teach there. How is London tonight?
London is good. Mkoma Sodza. How is everybody? Good evening, Zimbabwe.
Lovely. It's nice to have you here. Now I want to come to you, Chief. So say good evening, or should I say good afternoon there in America?
Yeah, it's good afternoon.
How are you, my brother?
I'm all right, my brother, and I wish you a happy holiday. You know, you deserve it. You deserve to go and rest. You know, you are doing a great job. People might undermine what you are doing, or you might not know the kind of work that you are doing, but you are playing a very big role in the struggle. Thank you so much, and go and rest. come back recharged.
Oh, thank you so much. I know that last week you said you were en route to the UN there in New York, and there was a lot of demonstrations that took place there. And you hinted that there were some people that were coming to distract your demonstration there, and we saw what happened there. All these, some of them really old men and all that, they were marching wearing the ZANU-PF regalia and all that kind of stuff. I just couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. Could you tell us what actually happened there, Chief Sodza, since you were on the ground?
Thank you very much, DJ, and I hope you are putting this on record. You are already recording this show, because honestly, we want the people of Zimbabwe to have this kind of information, so that they know our government for what it is. Like I said last time, we had information that there was going to be a group which calls itself a Pan-African group that supports Robert Mugabe, that was going to come and demonstrate again alongside us or against us. This group purports to support what Robert Mugabe is doing. But what I want to tell the people of Zimbabwe is, ahead of time to engage those people. Those people are misinformed. They don't even know the Zimbabwean narrative. They don't even know the Zimbabwean story. As you saw on the pictures that were coming through, some of them couldn't even identify a Zimbabwean flag. Most of them were having Cameroonian flags, Zambian flags, and they were calling them Zimbabwean flags. They didn't even know. And the information, the intro we have is that these people were actually given money, a lot of money. $500,000 was given to these people so that they would come and demonstrate as if they are in support of Robert Mugabe. They don't even care about Robert Mugabe. They don't even know him, some of them. They have never even heard about him, some of the people who were there. All they cared about was the money that they were given. You know, to make matters worse, amongst that group, there were actually Zimbabweans who were there. Those who listened or who happened to saw a video where Pastor Mawarire was being castigated, was being, told to go away. There were actually Zimbabweans who were there. And those Zimbabweans are identified Central Intelligence officers. So how can we have a government doing that? We have hospitals that do not have medicines. We have roads that have potholes, and we have a government that is giving 500,000 to American people, American citizens who have it all here, so that they come and demonstrate against the people of Zimbabwe who are exercising their democratic right to express their feelings against Robert Mugabe. It was so embarrassing. I was asking them and I was talking to them, and you could see that they have nothing to do with Zimbabwe. It's not about Pan-Africanism. There is no Pan-Africanism that is like that. And those people were always there when we started on Sunday. They were there destabilizing us. And we tried, like I said, to be as peaceful as possible. And it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. And I would not think that Robert Mugabe would stoop that low to hire people, to hire thugs, to come and destabilize his own people.
Chief Sodza, but you see, I was talking to one of my colleagues who was also there. I won't mention the name, but he was saying that he felt that you guys were distracted by those people. He felt that you should have left them alone and continue what you were doing, because by paying attention to them, they kind of win in a way. Do you concur?
No, we actually did that. We left them alone, but they were coming to where we were.
Right.
They were coming to where we were.
Heck, I mean, hey, I don't know, those guys are unreal. after the Zimbabwean protesters. They went after them.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right, okay. I don't know what had happened there. We kind of lose our voice a little bit, but anyhow, we're back on now. So anyway, thank you so much. So anyway, Chief Soshe, how successful was this demonstration?
Oh, the demonstration was successful. You know, I'm proud of the Zimbabwean people in the USA and surrounding places, because we had people who actually drove all the way from Canada. They all came and we demonstrated. We had our speakers, some who also flew from the UK. We had speakers from all the way from Zimbabwe. They all came, and after I left, I had Dr. Mkanya Thomas Mapu was there yesterday, and I'm telling you, the people are ready. The people are sick and tired of what is happening in Zimbabwe. It's so good. I've been to these demonstrations. There are times when we were at the United Nations and we're just 2 or 3. I remember at one time people failed to turn up for the demo, and one person demonstrated on his own and delivered a petition on behalf of the people of Zimbabwe. And to see the number of people that were there this week, it's a sign that Zimbabweans are sick and tired, and they are done, and they want change in Zimbabwe. The demonstrations were successful. All the days were attended, even the Sunday church. Those were listening to Studio 7. You heard the pastors speaking, Zamara speaking. You know, the demonstrations, I can say, in short, they were a success. And we delivered a good message to Robert.
They were a success. Right, Chief Soshe, I want to move on to other people there, but were you happy with the turnout there? Because someone was alluding to the fact that they felt that not as many people came out for it.
Yeah, to me, who has been involved in these demonstrations before, the turnout, yes, it was not as we expected, but I'm telling you, it was massive. It was a good turnout, considering what has been happening all these years. You know, where you have 5 people or 10 people turning up. Here we had hundreds of Zimbabweans turning up. In my speech, I actually thanked the youth who were there. They were young people, 17, 18, 19-year-old people who were there. And I was like, this is what we want. Our youth being involved in the struggle, seeing how much we are struggling, to get our Zimbabwe working again, or to make Zimbabwe great again. So that tomorrow they will know that this Zimbabwe that they are enjoying did not come on a silver plate. There were a lot of youth there. It was very impressive.
Thank you so much. Mukoma teacher, what did you make of, I don't know what you want to call them, those guys who had ZANU-PF t-shirts and Robert Mugabe and all that, saying that people are mistaken to demonstrate against Mugabe. Mugabe is a hero for us.
Well, Nkoma said that clearly you are speaking in both English and Shona, and some of our callers speak in Ndebele. It clearly shows whom we are. Those guys are neither of us. So it's absolutely clear that ZANU-PF, despite the fact of a reputed 3 million Zimbabwean diasporans, they could not even get 20 ZANU-PF supported diasporans brave enough to come and show face as a counter demo for Zimbabweans versus Zimbabweans. What is clear is that ZANU-PF had to rely on the Coltrane Chimrenga-led type of propaganda. Now, anyone who follows Zimbabwean politics will appreciate the fact that Coltrane Chimrenga was here last year in Zimbabwe and met Vice President Mnangagwa. I don't remember whether they met him. And they made all the promises that they are going back to America to fight sanctions and also put pressure on this year's presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. They've got their own existential civil rights war that is going on in America. And Zimbabwe is just another peep that they're using in their own existential rights, civil rights. It has absolutely nothing to do with their understanding of why Mugabe has stayed in power for over 36 years without anyone coming through the ranks, why at 92 he clings on to power. They were not addressing all those things. You could see they had no other message other than to try to silence Zimbabwean demonstrators. The fact that they were saying people like Ivan Mawarire are green traitors, you could see how it was well staged, a typical false flag operation. If that was being done by Zimbabwe, you would understand. Those are the riffraff of Harlem and so on, the back streets of America, the nobodies, the people that you never read about in any mainstream media. For them, that was the ultimate opportunity to be heard, to be seen, to be live. You will never see those people anywhere else. I simply asked a simple question to ZANU-PF activists. I said, name one of them. Just one, name one. Do you know them? Even yourselves. Do you know those people? They're just random people picked up for specific reasons. You could see even their boards, their placards. We copy and pasted exactly the same type of message. There was nothing that was original about them. They were not asking for any alternative way to address the Zimbabwe crisis other than to say, you're a green card traitor, which clearly shows that they are complete disconnect with the reality in Zimbabwe. So their faith is more like psychopaths that are supporting Mugabe because of his Pan-African rhetoric. Now let me just put it in correct perspective. The Pan-African movement has absolutely nothing to do with national politics of African countries or the African diaspora. Absolutely zero. Each and every country pronounces its own foreign policies, its own economic policies, its own bilateral agreements. Absolutely zero to do with Pan-Africanism. The issues affecting Zimbabwe right now have absolutely zero to do with Pan-Africanism. Mugabe is using that to divert people's attention, to pretend that he's some African champion of this, that, and the other. Then you ask, where is he doing this African championing other than just the rhetoric in public gatherings? He's not doing nothing. He was chairman of the African Union. We didn't see him do anything tangible. Even right now, asking his ZANU-PF activists exactly what did he do beyond the rhetoric. Fiery rhetoric, we have had it for 6 years, and we are victims for it. Right now, all our politicians suffer the consequences of being blamed for being as eloquent as if eloquent teenage kid. Look at people like Moken Changira. He's got the conviction of his desire, despite whatever his weaknesses are. He's got the conviction of what he believes in and that he should continue to fight. It's a clear. That is not about eloquence. It's not about high-sounding verbal diarrhea, verbiage, coming and being verbose at the United Nations and sounding all educated in Pan-African, and then go back home and say, we don't eat Mdarano Puma. This is nonsense and must stop. This is a good thing that happened in America. It shows just how desperate ZANU is. Absolutely desperate. If I were a ZANU person, I would never post about that because it's embarrassing. You can't get your own fellow countrymen and say, right, Trema student that sponsor went to America. We want to bring them to support the government and say the government is doing well. Not a single Zimbabwean was prepared to be such embarrassed to be seen as associated with nonsense. They had to resort to the scum of the earth of Harlem. That's what they had to resort to. That's how down there their morality is. It's a shame.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mkoma Teach, on that explanation. Sekuru, what did you make of these guys who turn out to support the president and the ZANU-PF?
I liked them.
Okay.
I liked them. They made big fools of themselves, and they created the stories in Zimbabwe for Kaiser Rai to write. But from now on, I think everybody who watched those live broadcasts or streams or on Facebook or on Twitter, and there were thousands of them that who were watching. They now know that Mugabe is so desperate. He is good to hire Jamaican niggers What do you call them?
That word is banned, Sekuru.
All right. All right. Okay. Yeah. Mugabe is so desperate to hire these Dacha smoking dreadlocks to campaign for him in America. He can't campaign in Zimbabwe because he has got nobody to campaign to. He now uses people who don't know anything about Zimbabwe to campaign for him. I don't know whether they are going to vote for him in Zimbabwe or not. I don't know whether he's going to pay for them to go there to Zimbabwe and vote. But it was quite interesting for me to see how ignorant those people are. And it was quite interesting to hear them saying Mugabe is wrong when our guys were up to matching them. They had all the facilities, loud hailers, properly written posters, but they didn't know what was written on there. So sometimes they went, Mugabe is wrong. Mugabe is wrong. They were also going, Mugabe is right. Mugabe is wrong. It was quite interesting, really. I was listening to them because when our guys went on top of the situation, they would also say Mugabe is wrong. Then I would say, what is going on? These people, do they know what they are doing? But basically, the truth about those people is that those are professional campaigners. They campaign for anybody who pays the money.
Mm-hmm.
So they were earning a living, and they did a good job of it, of earning their living, because they were there every day. And they shouted their voices hoarse, notwithstanding the fact that they are megaphones and things like that. But the most important lesson that I would like to impart to Chief Sose.
Chief Sose.
Right. When you are organizing these campaigns, kana musati mapinda politics edzo, bvunzai tibvunzei tikupei mazano musati maenda.
Sekuru matanga.
No, I'm telling you this. I'm not criticizing you. You did very well. You did very well. You did us proud. But you were not technologically savvy.
Okay.
And because of your lack of knowledge,
what should they have done, Sekuru? What should they have done? This is a struggle for everybody.
I told them and they did it. I told them they did it. I commented, I wrote to Ivan Mawarire and said,
and said what?
I want to see you with a megaphone. I want to see you with I want to see you with, say again.
No, I said, so what did you tell Ivan to do?
I said I wanted to see you with a megaphone. I want to see you with Ngoma, Zoku Zimbabwe, I want to see you with Wamanda if you can get there. I want to see you with Pito. I want to see you with Muchiriza Ngoma, Muchiwezera Morari. That is not how we campaign. We campaign by raising our morale through dance and humor. I also told them, imbai dzimbo dzaibwa nana Mugabe vachiti vakauya vachena vakatakura magidi, moimba muchiti vakauya vaMugabe vatakura corruption, kuti vazive kuti chii chamuri kutaura. And they introduced these drums. I think Dimkanya akauya now or something like that. And they were getting better. They were getting better at it. So PR in these campaigns is a necessary ingredient, without blaming you. It was the first time. The guy who noticed Ngoma, akaenda naye.
Right, Seguru,
Yes.
we thank you so much for that advice, and I'm sure Pastor Mawarire received your advice. But to be honest with you, I was there. Ngoma dzanga dziripo. We had drums there right from the beginning, and people were singing. Huh? No, they were there. They were actually there. People who were playing the drums, people who were, Aitoro Wangoma, Sekuru Wangoma, Chaiko Chaiko. And there were MDC activists there. Pito Yange Ripo. When there are MDC activists, Pito's niggas Zirito Ripo.
Maybe I was following the wrong thread, because the anti-chief follow up a thread Savannah.
Even the megaphone, that everyone who was speaking with a megaphone. Even Pastor Mawarire, when he made his first speech, all the people who spoke there, even myself, I even spoke there. I was having a megaphone.
The megaphone came a day after Paganga, the green card trader, go home.
I was there on Sunday myself. On Sunday, I spoke myself with a megaphone.
Muzukuru wangu,
okay,
megaphone, we didn't see it.
Okay.
Anyway, that DJ Ndanz, there are reports coming from Zimbabwe saying all the people who spoke at that demonstration in New York are charged with treason when they go back to Zimbabwe. We don't know how far true it is. They're just far-fetched reports that we are getting from Zimbabwe. But you never know with ZANU-PF.
Right.
They are so
desperate. Don't worry about that, Chief Shosen. Already you have been charged with treason because you have been punished from Zimbabwe. So, uchagwa kakuna wakagara mumvura sei.
Tirikungotaura kuti vanhu vazvizive. Inoda kupezvo zvifumurwe.
Okay. Batai makadaro. Pane vari kundinyorera kunoku hanzi Mukoma, thank you so much for the show, but please could you thank Savannah Madamombe. She has been doing this for a long time, streaming for people like Wanasekuru kuti vaone zviri kuitika at the time. So we thank her for that. Then kune Mukoma ku America vari kutaura kuti actually on Saturday he didn't see any. So, but I don't want to dwell on whether drums were there or not. What I want to do now is basically have a drink of water for 15 seconds, and we'll be back after this.
Let the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com.
Right. Mukoma Benford.
DJ Sodza, makadiko.
Tinofara mukati taurise bijana.
All right, titaita kuwedza.
Atobva ajinyasi zugira ke manje.
Uri kudinzwa?
Ya kure though.
All right, andofunga system yangu itaita ichitika as I go.
Right. Taura zvenyu Mukoma Benford.
Yeah, okay. I think let's be honest here. We want to have an honest dialogue. And I'll present my observation of what happened in New York. I saw my similarities zvinoitika kana tiri kuZimbabwe when vana Mawarire vachidemonstrata utajamuka vachidemonstrata. Mugabe says they are being funded by Western powers. Now, you come to New York, you find a group of Americans protesting on behalf of Mugabe. Those people are being funded by ZANU-PF. To me, that's the first observation I made. There's a similarity there. Let's be honest. Mugabe, not only is he popular amongst African Americans, he is popular throughout Africa. If you remember, even for funeral ya Nelson Mandela, he was cheered by South Africans while they booed their own president, Jacob Zuma. And wherever he goes in Africa, you find they will hold him very highly. And there's a reason for that. So let us not be blinded by that. Let's not mislead people to think we're 5,000. Let's look at the core of this issue. Why were they supporting Mugabe? African Americans, one of my issues are, and they feel that Mugabe is, is helping them advance their own causes by being vocal against, my white. So that's a separate issue. Those people, why are true that they don't understand what guys doing to people with. That's the first point. The second point I want to make is, I almost loved myself with things where Pastor Mawarira they're going to have a mega demo, in New York. I was laughing myself out. A strategy that works in Zimbabwe is not. So that is one of the first things that you need to realize. You have to recognize one the situation and you come up with the right strategy. These guys went with the wrong strategy, to start with. Whatever we might say about Wana Comrade Chimurenga, you should expect that, because there's always been this connection with them. They always come to my Congress as NPF. And as far as I can remember, almost every year, Banama Congress is NPF. They send their representatives there. So they should have expected this, and that's where you strategize, and you just don't go blindly. So whatever happened, as far as I'm concerned, Zanga really expected. These guys had the wrong strategy, and they should simply go back to the drawing board and re-strategize.
Okay.
How you view Zimbabwe is different with how you view Nwanwa.
Okay, Mkoma Benford, I took your points there. You believe these guys were not paid to do what they did. They are in love with Mugabe. These guys, Wakandeta demonstration there, Pastor Mawarire, they had the wrong strategy. What strategy would you urge them to do next time?
DJ Sodza, here's the problem that I found in a smart Zimbabwean. What made the Pastor Mawarire display it so successful? It was a unique concept that he came up with. But what then happened is, after Yaita so successful, Vanata Jamuka Vakatanga Mademo, which was successful in the beginning. But it was every week to Mademo. That's why you find it is bound to fizzle out. You need to come up with my different strategies. It's not. I'm not a politician myself, but what I'm telling these guys is, you can't just do the same thing over and over.
No. Mkoma Benford, let's have a dialogue here. You're saying that this was a wrong strategy, but I'm just asking you, have you got an idea of what they could do differently?
I don't have anything that I can tell them.
You don't have anything that you can tell them. Okay, thank you so much, Mkoma Benford. I want to go kuna Mkoma Wilbert there. Mkoma Wilbert, I just have to give you this opportunity because I want to move on actually. But I thought it would be unfair to Musa comment on what others had been commenting on.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. No, just a few points there. To start with, I just want to correct Benford there that Mugabe is popular wherever he goes. He is not. I just need to remind you of his visit to Nigeria when the Nigerian president was being sworn on. Remember the incident, where he was asked, when are you going to have free and fair elections in Zimbabwe? Africans are waking up to the reality that Mugabe is very good at rhetoric and very little else. As regards this December 12th movement, I don't know whether some of you had the opportunity to read some of their articles. In one of them, they referred to Pastor Mawari as he is a preacher without a church, with a following of less than 50 members in Zimbabwe, but who has apparently unlimited funds.
Okay, Koma Wilbert, hold on. Chief Sose?
Oh yeah, nditoita log off vanapa ndiri kudrive ndabuda.
I actually cut you off there because now we can't broadcast with the noise coming from there. That's all.
All right, thank you.
Okay, right. Nkoma Wilbert, go ahead.
Okay, and then they also referred to said, and I quote, he denounces the conditions of life in Zimbabwe, but never mentions what the devastating effects of the hundreds of years of Western underdevelopment, terrorism, and 16 years of direct US and European sanctions have had on the Zimbabwean economy and quality of life. When you read something like that, you immediately realize that you're dealing here with people who really don't know what they're talking about. Just a few months ago, President Mugabe himself admitted that Zimbabwe lost $15 billion was looted. Anyone with any simple economics will realize if your GDP, which is Zimbabwe's GDP, is 14 billion, and you're losing 15 billion in a matter of a few months, it's clear that you cannot possibly have any meaningful economic development where there's so much wastage. So to start talking of our sanctions are our problem, clearly you don't understand. And interestingly enough, actually, President Mugabe, in his speech to the UN General Assembly, also referred to sanctions as a problem. Here is an individual who clearly is just desperate, because no economy in the world can prosper when your GDP is 14 billion and you go and loot 15 billion. It's impossible. The important thing to address is, why is there so much wastage? And that problem, by the way, has not been addressed because Patrick Chinamasa, in his midterm statement, admitted that they tried to reorganize the mining companies in Marange and Chiadzwa. And for the last 6 months, they had expected that they will have realized 6 million carats of diamonds from that area. But they only received less than 1 million. That means the leakage is still there. The swindling is still there. The plunder is still there. No economy in the world can possibly thrive under those conditions. And that is basic economics, and therefore then we are dealing here with people who are totally dishonest. And as for the group itself, the December 12th, they may have had a history of Pan-Africanism and supporting human rights and so forth. But this particular group that staged these demonstrations, I think you'll find with a lot of the people who would have supported them in the past will desert them. Okay. And I like to emphasize here that I think it is important that we should really learn to differentiate between the fringe lunatic and the rest of the black Americans. I think most black Americans really have got an understanding of what is happening in Zimbabwe, much better than this lunatic fringe. But my last point, I wanted actually to talk on these future strategies. I honestly don't think that demonstrations and street protests alone are going to change anything in Zimbabwe. These street protests could be used as an additional pressure, but the most important thing that Zimbabweans must focus on is implementing the democratic reforms. Because until those reforms are implemented, if we go to elections in the present situation we are in with all the street violence and so forth, we'll just have a repeat of 2008. And as long as ZANU-PF has got, for instance, billions of dollars from Marange and so forth, they can still win the elections because they've got the money to buy the votes, to bus around voters from one polling station to another, to buy the officials, to buy PR companies and so forth. That is what ZANU-PF is good at. And unless we implement reforms and demonstrations on their own without complementing democratic reforms, and MDC members of parliament, I know there are some MDC members of this panel, they should really be doing something in parliament to get reforms implemented. And not just electoral reforms, because electoral reforms are not enough. You've got to change the structure of organizations like ZEC, the police, and so forth, to make them, to give them their democratic independence. Those are the reforms of 2008 on the GPA. Those are the reforms we must go back to, not electoral reforms. They will not change anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Sally, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, Sally, what can you say about? I mean, I want to talk about the legitimacy of these Americans who were protesting then.
You know, it's seriously. I mean, the first time I saw it, I burst out laughing. Okay, I mean, it was the guy with the long hair, okay, and the headband. I thought, hey, what's that American Indian dude doing there? Okay. That was my first impression. And then I had a good look at him. You know, it saddens me. It really, really saddens me. I got into a huge argument with one of the guys, okay, and I got insulted from the top to the bottom and told to go to the Corsica Mountains. I don't know what the knickers I must do in the Corsica Mountains, okay? I don't even know where the Corsica Mountains are. But anyway, that's where I'm supposed to go. You know what my... Now, people can shout me down about this, okay? It's cool. But this is my impression of that whole thing, okay? And those guys involved. For a start, September 12th, I can find nothing on them, okay, as a movement. The only thing that I can associate with them is black consciousness, the Steve Biko death in his cell on September the 12th. So maybe it's from there, okay? I'm not sure. Their kind of Pan-Africanism scares the knickers off me. And it's not very much that scares the knickers off me, okay? But those guys do. Their thought process, okay? I mean, when I said to when I was challenging this guy, okay, the thing that came through was, and a guy by the name of Freedom, I can't remember his surname, he had a fantastic, of their form of Pan-Africanism. There's the white overseer on his horse whipping the slaves. Along comes those kind of Pan-African guys. They get rid of the white guy on the horse whipping the slaves, and they jump on the horse and carry on whipping the slaves. But because it's black on black violence, it's okay. And this is the whole message that I got from these guys. And when I said to them, okay, well, this one guy, okay, when I said to him, listen, I detest what the white people did, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure everybody knows my views on that. I said, but I detest the black on black violence that's going on in Zimbabwe as well. And he just bypassed that completely, hummed and hawed about it. So I said, so you were saying that black on black violence is fine? And he said, you've got to get rid of the white person. You must go to the Corsica Mountains. So that is my impression of that whole thing, okay? That these guys don't give a toss about black on black violence. Therefore, they support Mugabe. He can do what he wants. That's fine. Okay? So and none of them have ever been to Zimbabwe. I challenged them about that, okay? And the one guy, okay, that's got a Muslim name, okay, turned around to me and said, "Oh, I've got boots on the ground. I know everything that's going on in Zimbabwe." And I just burst out laughing, okay, because he must have some connection or something, right? So I said, seriously, you people, I'm sad for you people because you are really making public fools of yourselves. But hey, you carry on, because it's doing the people that are fighting for their basic human rights, it's doing them the world of good, showing how ignorant and uninformed you are. It frightened me in a way. It really did. The rhetoric, the way that these people think, it's frightening. And they've got a mess in. I said to them, "You've got a mess in America. Why aren't you concentrating on getting the mess sorted out? No, you're coming and telling Zimbabweans how wonderful Mugabe is, okay, when you can't even sort out the mess you've got in America." I said, "No, seriously," I said, it's frightening in a way. It is. It's not a healthy way to think. Really.
Okay. Thank you so much. Mkoma, teach what are the legitimacy of these people?
Well, they have no legitimacy whatsoever, either as Zimbabwean citizens or stakeholders in the Zimbabwean question. I mean, it's nonsensical to even allude to them as relevant in anything. If anything, this is just a sign of desperation by ZANU-PF. First and foremost, ZANU-PF is tearing itself apart at home, where these Americans are not singing as they are doing against protesters against ZANU-PF. You've got 10 chairmen of provinces that were expelled and replaced with stooges, very unconstitutionally within ZANU-PF itself. Then 10 youth chairmen that faced the same song and who were used or abused, in the demonization of Dr. Mjuru. Now you look at those people, they have no clue about this kind of internal dynamics of Zimbabwe. The people in Zimbabwe are living well beyond the datum line at unprecedented levels of over 95% of Zimbabweans live below the poverty datum line. Now you look at it and you say to yourself, do those people understand that? Do they have any clue beyond their food stamps for whatever they get from the American government? Clearly not. Do they go to work? They clearly don't. That's why they had all that time to be there. It's not because really there's any cause in Zimbabwe that would necessitate one losing money by taking time off from work. You just look at their times. Even the cameraman for ZANU-PF who was trying to hound the people, he wouldn't dare concentrate on them. He wouldn't dare concentrate on them. Other than the megaphone noise that they were making, there was nothing else that they were saying. So those people, are they legitimate? Are they worthy of us really trying to put them into the equation? The clear answer is no.
Okay.
What they were there for was to divert attention from a genuine, legitimate, constitutional demonstration by Zimbabweans exercising their constitutional right in the interest of their country. All those Zimbabweans that you saw in the United Nations, their relatives at home have homes, at home have children at home. They have legitimate, genuine, existential interest in the Zimbabwean case. Those Americans, they have no clue what they were there for. They were paid. They were simply up there to make it look like there was Pan-African support for Mugabe. Nkoma Wilbert talked about how embarrassing it was for Mugabe to end up being protected from journalists in the Buhari inauguration. That is not the only one. When Mugabe arrived off to Zambia before the final result of the Zambian elections, when Elasto Lungu was elected for the first time, he faced the same story that go back home because you're interfering in the political affairs. You can see again in a contested election recently, he went again to try to be himself, the person that is on the forefront. He is the standard chairman He is the African Union chairman. Who was he there as? A neighbor? A fellow countryman? A fellow Pan-African? There's nothing Pan-African about what Mugabe is doing right now. All Mugabe is doing is to ensure that he dies on the throne, so that he doesn't have to face the consequences of what he knows will be revealed once he's gone. And it will not only be revealed by enemies of Zimbabwe, it will be revealed, as is often happening with the leakages of government information, by people in ZANU. Nobody leaks more information about the goings on about government than people in ZANU. Yeah. It's not those opposed to ZANU now, like ourselves, or long-term opponents like Anasekuru, that are leaking this. They're actually consumers of what is coming out of ZANU-PF's own toxic politics. So at the end of the day, to bring in the American dimension to try and give it legitimacy when within ZANU-PF, the fractions are just unbelievable. So at the end of the day, I think those people are just low bodies. That's simple. It's just an embarrassment. It's bringing us down to this level of politics.
Okay, now Mukoma Tichi alluded to what happened to Mugabe when he went to Nigeria and when he went to Zambia. And someone is writing to me that, can you remind, I don't know who said that Mugabe is well loved outside Zimbabwe, that even the Botswana president has come out and say that really Mugabe should really make his way.
Mkoma Sodza, just to drive that point home.
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela actually stayed in Zimbabwe. They're suffering a failure in leadership. Nelson Mandela, no less than
Okay, right. Okay, thank you. Now, Ramoyo, you saw what happened there with these Americans demonstrating and saying that Mugabe is our hero and should be encouraged, and this is the most wonderful around us, and all the shirts and the T-shirts. Was that legitimate? Or was that legitimate for them to do that? Those Americans?
It is not proper to question their legitimacy, because if you talk of legitimacy, you are talking at something at law, and if you are referring to that, yes, it was legitimate in that they had the right to express themselves in whichever way they so wished. And we're talking of Americans in America. We are talking of people in their own country, and they have every right to demonstrate either for or against anybody. So in terms of legitimacy, yes, it was absolutely legitimate in that it complied, or whatever they did not in any way go against any laws of any country. So yes, in terms of legitimacy, yes, they were. In terms of democracy, yes, in a democratic dispensation, people are free to express their own opinions in whichever way they wish. So yes, in terms of legitimacy, I think they were within their right to do what they did. And I just want to maybe point out a few things regarding what Benford was saying. That, of course, when it comes to perceived Pan-Africanism, Mugabe is still considered as the only Pan-African existing in Africa today by quite a large number of people. Of course, we can make reference to that Nigerian girl, but we're talking of one girl and probably a handful of journalists who were even less than 10. And to call them representative of Africans, it is very improper. If you look at some of the gatherings that Mugabe has attended, the inauguration of Uhuru Kenyatta, Zambia, in South Africa, in most of the countries, he has been receiving a hero's welcome by the majority of Africans. So when it comes to the African perception, yes, they still consider him as genuinely Pan-Africanist. And on the issue of elections, I will be very brief here so as not to take too much time. On the issue of elections and the reforms that are being referred to, it is very difficult unless these reforms are specified to say what is it that we are talking about. In any case, the current ZEC that we have, it was actually put in place during the time of the Government of National Unity. if I remember well, it was actually the then Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai who announced to the nation the appointment of Rita Makarao as the head of ZEC. So the current structure and everything else, including the laws and everything that governs ZEC today, was actually put during the time of the government of national unity. And that was with the participation of the MDCs, which were the ruling party at that time, and then ZANU-PF as well. Now, for people to turn around and now talk of certain reforms, which are not specific, it becomes very difficult. Then the last thing is on the diamonds. The issue of 15 billion, I think, is over-exaggerated and taken out of context. Given time at one day, at some point, we may need to actually revisit that and say what actually happened and what qualities are involved and what has been happening at Kiazo all along and who actually stole more than who. The figures are there and everything else is there for reference. So I think people are just trying to make a molehill into a mountain there, which is not necessary at all.
Okay. Aiwa, ndatenda zvangu wa moyo.
Just ask him a question.
Okay. Now, regai ndikupai mukana mukoma teach na sekuru kuti mubvunze mubvunzo wenyu kuna wa moyo. Because what I've found over the years is that whenever Wamoyo speaks, everyone will have questions for him, and suddenly the whole show it's about goes to Moyo, questioning Moyo. The whole show. I'm really not happy with that situation, every day. I must tell you guys.
We can't exclude him from the discussion, because once you've allowed him to speak, then there's going to be a response. It's only natural. So either you don't allow him to speak, or you allow him to speak. Your democracy, we may not like what he says, but he has every right to say it.
No. Me, I'm not disputing that I don't like what he says, but what I found is whenever he speaks, everyone has got a question for him, and the whole show it's about questioning Wamoyo from there on. You see, that's
but right now we are wasting time going into detail of simply asking the question, and then you will moderate if you think it's getting out of hand.
Yeah, because what happens, you're going to ask a question, Wamoyo will respond, then you have got another question, Wamoyo will respond.
No. My simple question is one.
Okay, go ahead.
Any other president ever had to resort to this kind of self-defense? Any other that you know of?
No, Sodza, I can't hear anything from Nkoma teach for the past few sessions. So I have no idea what he said. I only heard him saying Nkoma Moyo in the end. So I never heard the thing. If you could repeat what he said.
Taurai futi Mkoma teach.
No, I can't hear him. I can't hear you. Oh yeah, a little bit better. Yeah, it's a little bit better.
Have you ever heard of any other president who has had to resort to this kind of self-defense on the international forum?
I only heard when you said, have you ever heard of another president? And then the next thing I heard was...
Okay, Wamoyo, have you ever heard of any other president other than Mugabe who have had to resort to all this international self-defense that Mugabe is now, you are now saying he's got?
No, I haven't.
No, you haven't. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's the end of this. No, Mukoma Wamoyo, that's it. That's the end of the story. Mukoma teach. No, he hasn't. Sekuru, have you got a question?
Thank you.
Okay. Sekuru, your question, please.
Naiwa moyo. Ma Americans ane legitimacy yokupindira munyaya dzeZimbabwe. Ko zvamunenge muchiti maAmericans ari kuti disturba kuzanu zvinombofamba sei asi maAmericans anotenderwa nemamwe asingatenderwi
experience yacho sekuru If I talk about your home state,
yakaita sokuti Mugabe is right and vamwe vachiti Mugabe is wrong. Vanotenderwa ndevapi? Vanoti Mugabe is wrong kauti vanoti Mugabe is right.
No, yes, are not tendered because they have a democratic right to express themselves. So yes,
no, but no, Moyo.
Not totally wrong, they are right. Not totally right, they are right. Yeah.
Moyo, dai mubvunzo wandabvunza. Ndati pamunenge muchimira muchishamarara muchigara chichitaura kuti maAmericans hatenderwi kupindira munyaya dzeZimbabwe. Pane vamwe here vari excluded kupindira umu vekuAmerica.
We need to be specific in terms of what. If they are merely expressing their own opinion, yes, they are lying.
Mugabe achitaura izvo zvaatauri kuti in terms of what. Anongoti havatenderwi kupindira munyaya dzeZimbabwe. Saka ndiri kuvunza pane vamwe vanotenderwa here vane legitimacy yacho.
It's a yes and no answer. I mean, it's not cast in stone. It's a yes and no. Depending, we need to look at the extent of what is their involvement, what is their role.
Saka maAmericans anotenderwa kupindira muZimbabwe ka munyaya dzeZimbabwe.
I am saying it depends nokuti vanenge vachipindira vachiti
vanenge vachipindira vari kumba kwavo havauyi kuZimbabwe, vanenge vari kuNew York.
Maybe we can go back to the topic here discussion.
Okay, thank you, Amoya. Mukoma tafadzwa kuAmerica uko vaenda here kudemonstration. So these Americans were they legitimate kuuya kuzopemberera mukutungamiriri?
You know, I honestly don't feel it was an issue with Wangawaripo with Wangawaripo because Isusu, the reason we were there was not wow. We were there to go and demonstrate against the brutality, corruption, and poor governance. Their President Robert Mugabe ZANU-PF. Those are Takaendera Ipoko to make a statement. Kuti isuwana weZimbabwe atikufara neZANU-PF, and we want them gone, so that we can have a government that's accountable to the people. Those are Takaendera to New York City. We didn't go to New York City to debate whether, you know, these guys are legitimate, whether they can stand for Zimbabwe or for Mugabe or all of these things. Because at the end of the day, they do not understand our struggle. They do not understand the poverty that's going on in Zimbabwe. They do not understand the violence that ZANU-PF has unleashed on the people of Zimbabwe just because they have a different opinion about how they govern the country. They don't understand those things. Saga, Isusu, that's not what we went there for. And I just want to say, Guti, that demonstration was from the 17th up to Wednesday, Nezuro. So that demonstration in New York City lasted for several days. And so I would like to applaud those guys who organized that demonstration, because it's extremely difficult to organize that demonstration in the last 5 days with diaspora. Muchiwana wanengo every day. It's difficult because one must schedule our one mabasa. That's why Magaona and Pana Botoroti, our mabasa. That's what they are there for. And that's why that crowd was consistently the same. So I think we lose focus when we start talking about these people. But more so, we should give, accolades and praise Kuanu Wakauya Kuma demonstrations to New York City on Saturday, on Sunday, on Monday, on Tuesday, and on Wednesday. Those people took financial resources. They took time out of their families. 1 hour, they had to find arrangements. They would be 1 hour, people. So it was a huge success. And you need to understand, these people Isusu Wanongoriko and others who joined in the demonstration, they are not seasoned politicians. These are citizens who are disgruntled over the poor governance of Zimbabwe. So do not expect a perfection in how it's organized, because that is not what they do every day. But these are citizens who and they said, guys, let's come together and make a statement as citizens. And so it may not have looked as nonchalant and as successful as other people would have expected, but you need to understand these are people who came together, passionate Zimbabweans, who are not necessarily politicians, but who are citizens who engage and love their country and want a better Zimbabwe. So when we look at it in that context, this demonstration was a huge, huge success. And I applaud my citizens, and I want to say to all other Zimbabweans out there, let's keep demonstrating against the Zimbabwean government. Whether Mkasangana Muri 5, Mkasaya Muri 4, let's keep doing it, because we want awareness to the people of Zimbabwe, so that when it comes to elections, we can push the agenda. Yekuti wanoite aware of what they need to do to register to vote, and for eventually which political parties to vote for. So I applaud my citizens in Zimbabwe for what they are doing, not only in the US. We have brothers on the ground in Zimbabwe who have been demonstrating and have been incarcerated up to this day. People in South Africa who have demonstrated, in the UK, in Australia, all over the world. We applaud these citizens of Zimbabwe. Vana vevu ndo nyaya kuru pane our December 12th. Hatinei now because they distract us. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Muchiri Papa Mukoma Msati Maenda. Let me just ask you a question that I'm gonna ask everybody. Someone was telling me that he is disappointed in that when these demonstrations are organized, few Zimbabweans turn up for these demonstrations. What can we do to mobilize the masses of people to come out and support the movement?
I think we just have to keep encouraging our friends, our families, to keep encouraging kuti mukaramba makangogara muchiona zvinhu zvichiitika, Zimbabwe haichinji. Kuchinja kweZimbabwe, kuti Zimbabwe improve to make my politicians accountable. Ndiwe neni. For those who are now in this struggle, for those who are very passionate about this struggle, it is incumbent and it is our responsibility to try to encourage our friends, those who may not be so political, our families who may not be so political and who have a sense of fear, to just say kuti, it doesn't mean kuti urikuenda ku demonstration oenda pamberi payo ndiwe wato isa mawarire or some non-activist. Being involved in politics and in the political process does not mean you are going to be known by anybody. It means you are just part of it. You can help financially by contributing to my opposition political parties that are there. You can help by joining a political party that you feel would be able to better take care of Zimbabwe than ZANU-PF, because ZANU-PF is a write-off. They have failed. You can be involved in the political process just by encouraging others. Saka, we just need to educate Zimbabweans to being part of these movements. Azvirevo kuti ndiwe wapamberi pashi. Unokwanisa kudonetawo mari inobatsira Linda. Unokwanisa kudoneta mari inobatsirawo ma-activists akarohwa ari kunidza medical assistance. It can be, and some of these donations can be anonymous. So we're saying there is so many avenues to be involved, but to not be involved is not acceptable.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mukoma. Mukoma, no, but Mukoma Benford.
Yes, DJ says.
Mukoma Benford, the question I'm asking, I want to ask everybody is, what can we do to encourage one another so that when a gathering is called upon, Kutingati ku New York, people like you and Mukoma Benford, moita turn up. What can be done? What can we do to encourage one another to turn up to such demonstrations?
Yeah, DJ and so those are amounts of papa and city different places, them are different strategies. Imagine someone who in New York, how expensive that it is to live in that place. If you miss a single day, you're not going to start renting a dual. And you can't expect to put Ungoda for a demo in a place like New York, and then you expect them to make a demo in a place like New York. So that's why that month on GT, I laughed when I heard GT, they're going to have a mega demo in New York, because I knew that is the wrong place. My hotels in New York, people tell you how expensive it is. So I agree with Mukoma Tafazo. I applaud those people who were able to go there, because that was a huge sacrifice. So you cannot, say the demo in New York, and you don't even know the population you go. There are places here in the U.S. Where you have a huge Zimbabwean population. So we can make a noise here, and it makes sense. So I can tell you, you can start in a place like Texas, in other places like Cincinnati, Ohio. No. Those are a place in a huge Zimbabwean population where you got less expensive, not New York. So you have to have the right strategy, for each particular.
Right.
Okay,
that's fine. I just wanted to chip in. New York demo was there because there was a United Nations General Assembly meeting. That's why there was that specific venue for that demonstration.
So that people can be seen.
Yeah, so that people can be seen where Mugabe is. So I don't necessarily, that venue, there was nothing wrong with the venue. Yes, New York is expensive, but that particular venue had to do with President Robert Mugabe being there, addressing the United Nations.
DJ Sodza, if you can let me respond. Now, here's my thing, Mukoma Tafazo. I understand what you mean when you say Mugabe. But the expectation that were set, you're going to have thousands and thousands of people. The right thing here was you carry a petition, Yamuneisa, UN Secretary General, about the situation in Zimbabwe. And it doesn't need Vanwakawanda. The people who are there would carry over your petition. And that's how you send your message in a place like New York, rather than setting my expectations that you're going to have a mega demo. In the end, I think it was equally embarrassing to see Mawarire being booed, with the backpack on his back, like a great, a grader.
Why is that an embarrassment? That's not an embarrassment.
That was
a democracy. No. It's not an embarrassment. Those people booed him. They did what they felt they wanted to do. But to ask the people of Zimbabwe, we don't care. They don't understand our country and our struggle. That's not an embarrassment. My worry, they were speaking out.
Okay, Mukoma Tishi, you want to say something?
And let me tell you one more.
I just wanted to correct a misconception there. This was a petitioning type of protest. This was a visibility protest of bringing home the situation in Zimbabwe. It had nothing to do with presenting any petition, because the United Nations did not have the issue of Zimbabwe on the agenda and still does not have. This was targeted to bring media attention to the fact that we are suffering and Zimbabweans are suffering. It would have been nice to have big numbers, but in terms of the intended, the demonstrators achieved their goal, which was to put this in international media, because the situation in Zimbabwe is no longer tenable. It's as simple as that. Our discussion today was to focus on the legitimacy of Americans getting involved. So as Sekuru was asking, whether other Americans are also allowed to interfere in our democratic processes, just as the hired goons that were protesting in favor of Mugabe. Would it be okay if those that want to protest in favor of the opposition do the same? Would it be okay? That's a question that is there. It's as simple as that. That's what we're discussing. The issues of how protests are going to be run, blah, blah, blah. We are now mixing issues. The issue is simple. Were those Americans, the legitimate Zimbabweans, or were the Americans hired to counter a democratic process by Zimbabweans who wanted to protest against their president? That is the issue we are discussing. Semantics were losing direction. Those people had no right to interfere. They had no right to be haranguing Mawarire, whether he's right or wrong, whether you like him or don't. It's a Zimbabwean issue. Zimbabweans are protesting against their president. Would the president be happy if the opposition hired other people to come and protest against him in their favor? That's the question.
Right. Okay. That's the question there. Sekuru.
Muzukuruga. Ini ndinodzoka ndokanganwa zvimwe zvandinenge ndichida kubvunzawo.
Right.
Iri pana apa ndekuti wabvunza mubvunzo wakanaka zvikuru. Vanhu ndokubva vaenda off point. Ndokorora mubvunzo wako wavhunza ndigokudaridza.
Ndabvunza inini kuti ma-Americans aya anga aine legitimacy here kuti aite zvaakaita paya pakapari kudemonstratwa nemazimbabweans.
Aiwa ikona iwoyo wechipiri wavhunza wati unoda kuvhunza vanhu vese.
Sekuru wekuti vanhu ngeiko zvikanzi kuBirmingham uko tiri kuda kudemonstrata, vatsvangirai vari kuuya, hatichadiba zveMDC, uyai tidemonstrate tivaratidze vatsvangirai kuti hatichakudiba kuti mutonge mutungamirire MDC. Why don't people turn up for such demonstrations? Vozongoya vachichema pano pawireless kuti takadzvanyirirwa tazodai, but when they are called upon to come and attend those demonstrations, they don't turn up in numbers.
Yes. Mubvunzo waya una kudaridzwa so far. Handiti ndozvinzwa zvandataura. Vese vanga vachitaura off point kuti zvakadai. Tiri kubvunza nzira yekuti tingakwanisa sei kuatata vanhu vanenge vane chigumbu kuti varatidzire chigumbu chavo, kwete kungotaura vachiita mahunga vari munzeve dzavo. Handiti? Ndo wandiri kuda kudaridza iwoyo. Number one, kana tichitaura nyaya yekudemonstrate, tichitaura nyaya yepolitics. Nyaya yepolitics inozikanwa kuti ine machampions ayo. Machampions epolitics anofana kudaidzwa kuti auye, ndokuti vanhu vaungane. Like in every other company, ukatarira vachiadvertise, vane vavanoti mabrand ambassador avo. Mabrand ambassador aya vanhu vanoti kana akataura vanhu vese vanoti nekupolitics wotofana kushandisa mabrand ambassador edu. Mabrand ambassador atofana kushandisa uko kuAmerica iko zvino kwakuna Mawarire nenyaya yedhis flag. Kwakuna uyu Dzamara nenyaya yemunin'ina wake. Handiti? Ndosaka vanhu vakati wandei vakati uye. Takawedzera mabrand ambassador aya, takadaidza nemamwe ari more prominent. Dzimwe nguva vanhu vacho vatoti vaitonyanya kuwanda, nokuti vamwe vanhu vanouya kuzoteerera brand ambassador. Chimwe chinhu chinodaidza vanhu kumusangano yekudemonstrate ifanfare yemusangano wacho. Ukatarira ZIMPF kana ichitanga kuvhura musangano wayo, kunotanga kuridza kabhendi kanenge kuti mai muchuru kandanga ari nechivini, mai muchuru kanoramba kachiridzwa ikako kusvika kazara mumusoro wevanhu. Handitika that reinforcement iyoyo inoita kuti vanhu vakawanda vari vachiti vanombozvifunga seiko, vanhu vanozviita sei. Ukatarira MDC ita musangano wayo, unoona vachiti Mugabe simudza mudenga mutenderedze rovera pasi. Handiti maslogan anoitiswa kuti vanhu vau increase interest in what is happening because zvinonakidza. We cannot be serious every time we go for a demo. We must put fanfare into it so that it becomes interesting. Ndosaka mtona nyango machechi aita hatiridzi hosho, hatiridzi mbira, hatiridzi marimba, asiko zvinova kuzviridza nokuda kwokuda kuattracta vanhu. Saka we must learn from the perspective ye public relations and advertising kuti chosaka kuti vanhu vakokeke chii. Tikangoda kuramba tiri serious toda kutuka Mugabe Shetika hazvibetseri kana tichimutuka tiri serious. Toda kumutuka tichiseka vanhu vachifara. That will attract more people. Plus tofana kuva innovative in ways that no presenter campaign ediwa eco-protest. Because tikaramba tichingoshandisa the same thing panoita tired nokungondwa the same thing. Toda kuvenga timbotaura nezvamai Mugabe. Hatidi kutaura zvaMugabe chete, toda kungotaura zvamai Mugabe. Vanhu vanoda kunzwa kuti chii chombozikanwa pamusoro pamai Mugabe uye vachida kuzvinzwa izvozvo. Because makuhwa vanoma. These are the things that we must look at. Zvokuti izvi zvakazoitirwe izvi zvakazoitirwe, ngatitarire mazano okuti vanhu chido chavo chokuda kusangana. Funding yedu isusu iri ad hoc. Because it is ad hoc, vanenge vaida kuuya vanogona kutadza kuuya. Ndatenda.
Right. Makadaro ndinava Moyo na Mkoma Wilbert na Sali there that I want to ask you kuti, what can we do, especially muno diaspora, because really I'm disappointed in 10 hours or any other gathering that are called upon muno diaspora kuti vanhu vasvikepo. Ndikazoenda pa Facebook apo unoona 1,000 likes of Pastor Mawarire saying come to New York, but New York not 1,000 people go there. Why is that? But Saturday gaiti mbonzwe netembo iri panapa.
Heka nuwaro kushungu chipunda vasina maka. Tasvika upenyu pamusha mushungurudzi wavanhu. Chiutsi chopwititika muHarare vana voti tajamuka. Nepweredzi nemukaka pamunhu dzonongedzera yenyu nhongonya. Inga mafumuka semuroi pauso watsika mutanda. Kwenyu kusada kubva pachigaro cheushe. Muchisimbisa dzindo reushe hwenyu nemisodzi yavanhu. Chamakadya zvino chopfuka. Yekanuwaro kushungo. Ropa ramakadeura pagukura hundi mapfupa aya zvinoomuka. Ropa ravasina mhaka rakaerera 2008. Vainga chisi hachiri musi wacharimwa. Choherereka paHarare vana havachade kubatwa uranda munyika yechipikirwa. Wenyu utongi kwave kuripa ngozi chaiko. Hanyanani mbudzi yekwachivi. Zvamuchabva sembwa nhai chiponda vasina mhaka. Chamakadya zvino chopfuka. Zuro ndizuro makapunzika pamberi peruzhinji. Kungogara padare mokwidibirwa nadzo hope. Nyama hadzichada kushungoinzwa itsitsi. Kwave kusakara sedou serisakambodyiwa nyama. Mave chiseko chenyika bhurugwa ratarubva rinosungwa negavi. Ufumi hwenyika yeZimbabwe makaparadza. Rina manyanga ariputirwe neti yegasi. Chero mukatikandira. Misodzi yevana veZimbabwe yasvika kuna Zame. Zvinova pakundiso. Utongi hwenyu kwave kumawere. Chisingaperi chinoshura. Ufuza wana chombo kubatwa nehupi chikepe chichinyura saJona. Kudzia moto wembavha wehudzvanyiriri zvino vachanyura nemava. Chamakadya zvino chopfuka. This is a disclaimer. The opinions expressed by contributors during radio call-in shows are solely those of the individual callers and do not reflect the opinions of Zimnet Radio, DJs, presenters, managers or administration. Listeners are encouraged and advised to seek the services of qualified professionals for their personal problems.
In touch with the best online station, Zimnet Radio.
Make the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com.
Zimbabwe is 29 minutes before kunoku ku United Kingdom. Ndinokuchingamidza ivese vachangotibata. I could see some people are still tuning in. Thank you so much. This is the Men's Corner Show. Zarangu kuno ndonzi DJ Sodza. Tiri tiri kuno ku United Kingdom. Vamoyo. Vamoyo, I know kuti you are a very intelligent guy. Saka tiri kudawo kuti timbotora pfungwa dzenyu nhasi. We want your brains today. Can you tell me what strategy I can use if I want to gather Zimbabweans there in Australia to demonstrate against the leadership of Morgan Tsvangirai, for example? I just don't want Morgan Tsvangirai to be the leader of the MDC. What strategy can I use to mobilize people to come to that demonstration? That's the question I've got for you today.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing that one needs to do is to put the reason, which in other words, the cause. I mean, what is it that is at stake to begin with? And then the next thing is, what is it that needs to be achieved? So those things are quite critical in the involvement of mass mobilization. What is the effect? And what is it that we need to achieve? Unless that one is clarified, then people will find it listener and and therefore may not warrant the commitment you end up with. Sometimes it may be hard thing to sell a demonstration in Australia or in London or in New York could have a meaningful impact.
Okay.
To back home.
Okay.
Very difficult.
Okay, sorry. Pani wari kutype hapo. Mkoma teacher, are you typing something?
Oh, sorry, I thought my mic was muted. Sorry.
Okay. Endelea mbele mkoma Moyo.
So what I seem to find out is we don't seem to have the concrete reasons as to why people should be participating. Like what Nkoma Benford once alluded to, some of the things we have repeated the same thing for far too long. And it becomes difficult to sustain issues of demonstrations, issues of petitions and all that. How does that work? What is the intended impact? In the like for the New York General Assembly demonstration, for example, what is it that we wanted to achieve? And did we achieve it? And what is the intended outcome? And when people were, remember when they were mobilizing around this flag, what about it? And what did we achieve by that? So I mean, to repeat the same thing with the same dead end, people will naturally grow weary and tired, and in the end, it just becomes one of those things. So we need to convert from one of those things to something special. And for it to be something special, we couldn't try to there's need for fun. Yeah, that can, but it may work just for a little while. It becomes like something like a chewing gum. The moment you throw it in, of course, it's sweet and you want to chew it some more. But after 2-3 minutes, it's now the same rubber that you're just chewing and there's nothing there. And you're now looking to the chicken cookies because that taste is gone. So unless we make relevant some of these activities. So as long as it's the routine that we are doing, we expect people to weary up and get tired. That is expected.
Okay. Thank you so much. Mkoma Wilbert, I'll give the same question to you. Why don't people turn up to these organized demonstrations or gatherings that Zimbabweans will be asking for? And maybe what can we do to encourage or help one another? How important it is to attend such?
I think that is an important question, but in this particular case, I'll answer it in this way. I would say that in this instance, the demonstration by those mostly Americans, from what I could see, I couldn't see anyone who looked like a Zimbabwean there. It's quite possible that it was ZANU-PF sympathizers in America who organized those people to attend it. But it's comparable to what happened, was it on Africa Day Africa Day, I think, when Mugabe passed in all those youths for the 1 million men march, to counteract what MDC had done. So if we are looking at a situation here where demonstrations are becoming a competition, MDC organizing or opposition organizing their own protests and ZANU-PF organizing its own counter to the demonstrations, then people would soon realize this is becoming a rat race, where ultimately, actually, in this particular case, Mugabe will win, because in terms of finance, in terms of he can afford to get people from Bulawayo or Victoria Falls to come to attend a rally in Harare, because he has got the money to do so. Whereas the opposition, you and me have got to finance ourselves to attend a rally in Harare. If you are in Harare, it's a lot of money for someone who's not working. Yet not a problem for ZANU-PF. So here the question then becomes: is the race we want to be involved in? Because if then you say to yourself, this is a rat race that will never win. This is why I'm saying in this particular case, maybe what people need to look at, which I think Benford tried to refer to as well, is, think through what is it exactly we want to achieve when we hold the demonstration or whatever it is. Because then you can then look at what is it you require. Do you require the numbers, or is it just a question of you want people to present a petition or whatever it is? And in this particular case, that is what we really have got to look at. I honestly don't think at the present moment, this race, we are going to win it. I honestly don't think we are going to have free and fair elections because people were on the street. We are going to have free and fair elections because reforms were implemented. And unless we come up with a strategy that convinces more and more people that there's going to be meaningful change, we're going to have free and fair elections at the end of the day, it'll be very difficult to motivate people to attend a rally one weekend after another when the end result is a rat race.
Okay. Thank you so much. Sally?
Yes,
Sally, have you got any thoughts on what maybe, someone was telling me, Kuti, basically the numbers of people who attend these rallies and gatherings that are called upon, they are nowhere near satisfactory. What can we do to mobilize our brothers and sisters on how important these things are? So that they can attend. A lot of people are saying several things. Yes, a guru is thinking you can come with your drums and your whatever, your instruments, and be like a fanfare. Start it as like a fanfare, but delivering the message. What's your take on it? What do you think should be done?
You know what? Send the people to South Africa. The South Africans will teach them to demonstrate very well. All you've got to do, okay, is drive down the road, hold a bullhorn, and shout demo. And I can guarantee you, by the time you reach the end of the road, you're going to have thousands of people. But nobody knows what they're demonstrating against, but they're demonstrating. Mandela had the most fantastic analogy of South African demonstrators. He said, we are the only country that dances for sorrow, for joy, and for removing somebody.
Yeah.
There is not a demonstration in South Africa, not even by people in wheelchairs, where they are not jiving. And I mean, they jive. They jive for kilometers. They are singing, nobody beating drums, nobody cheering this and cheering. You are jiving and you are singing.
Jiving
wheelchairs rock.
Jiving Panzula.
Anything. As long as you are moving and your feet. The Zulus have the most fantastic thing. Okay? They do the war cry, and you can hear that for kilometers. The ground rocks. So if you want to know about demonstration, come to South Africa. Okay? They demonstrate for anything and everything. If there's a cow on one side of the road and it should be on the other side, I can guarantee you tomorrow morning there's tires burning in the road and there's at least 5,000 people toing. So, I mean, you know, Zimbabweans are such placid people. I'll never forget, okay, when there were queues in Beit Bridge, all right, on the Zimbabwean side, okay, and you could go there at 4:30 in the morning. The border only opened at 6, okay, and 4:30 in the morning, you were already 300 behind, okay, and you know, you see the Zimbabwean, we're there, we're talking, we're chatting, we're drinking water, we're drinking coffee, one will come out with a beer, and the stories. We are very placid people, and we find our way around everything. We never go straight over the obstacle. We'll find a way around it, we'll find a way under it, but to actually confront it and say, right, now I'm taking you on and I am going head on. No.
Okay. Sorry, thank you so much.
Like that.
Yeah, you're not like that. Okay.
Can I add something that I just thought of?
Okay.
To your question, DJ Sodza. I think with the diaspora situation, what we need is not a question of the numbers. It's a question of publicizing our story. So you might have just a group of 10 people demonstrating, but if we make the right conduct and the right connection, say you have conduct Nema reporters at CNN, they come and they cover that story, and it, you know, it gets 2-minute splash on CNN or BBC, that's a better sell of the story. Rather than having 200 demonstrators there and nobody publicized that. So what I suggest is we, Vanarimu Diaspora, let's use our conduct, let's use our links to get those people who are in influential positions, and we draw them our stories and publicize that. That is how we are going to review the bad that Mugabe is doing in Zimbabwe. Other than that, he is selling, so he has a department really solely responsible for marketing what he does, and they are projecting this image of which he is doing good because Zimbabwe. And we need to counter that. Sorry, DJ, sir. That's the point I wanted to make.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. Now, I know that some people might say, the stories are too much, but we've got 15 minutes. We have to go to Dallas, Texas. I've learned something today that in America there are some cheap places to live. And I'm told Dallas, Texas is one of them. And apparently, what was the other one name? Kuma Benford says Cincinnati, Ohio. Anyhow, what I want to ask you guys is, I saw a very disturbing news coming out of Zimbabwe the other day that the Department of Anesthetists in Zimbabwe there have resorted to cancel all the planned surgical, elective surgical procedures. And the reason being, there is no what they call opioids. Pain relieving drugs that are used during operation and also post-operation analgesia. Morphine and fentanyls and the like. Kwanziko, they are running dry there, that they are now resorting to just use the little they've got to trauma patients and emergency patients only. What would you like to say about that, Sekuru? These are disturbing news, isn't it? Sekuru, are you still there?
The area that we want back in. The people want Sekuru. How should it work?
Sekuru. Hey, Taurai.
The whole problem emanates from one source, and that is the source that we must confront. It's the government that has got wrong priorities. How can we say we don't have surgical anesthesia when we see the government importing thousands of Ford cars to give to the police so that they can tear gas us? How do we justify that? The problem is we have got a government that is irresponsible, that doesn't prioritize us, it prioritizes itself. And until such time as we can remove that government, then we will have this to talk about in perpetuity. I saw a small video. It was quite interesting. It's a young boy who says, if your pocket is torn, don't put more money into it because you lose the money.
Special guys, some coins.
Yes, first you saw that home where that saw the pocket, and thread it tight. Then you can put money in it and into
a bond note.
So, the story being, as long as we keep a government that has neglected us for 36 years in place, we will never, ever get anything done that we want done, because they are so used to doing what we don't want to be done.
Okay.
In as far as I'm concerned, the answer is simple. Let's change the government and then we will see what happens. If that government doesn't do what we want, we change it again.
Okay. Aiwa, mashoko akanaka Sekuru. Mkoma Wilbert there, your answer, your response to that question. I'm sure you know what happened, what I'm talking about here. It is all in the media there. But briefly, please, the time, Rupana. Mkoma Wilbert.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think that what makes that story really sad is that if Harare Central hospitals and some of these other major hospitals are running out of drugs, can you imagine the situation in remote rural hospitals? You know, they've run out of not just the drugs to do operations; they've run out of everything. I think it is really a tragic situation. We are talking here of cancelling these surgical operations. This is not somebody who is going there for cosmetic operation.
No.
If you are going there and you have got whatever illness it is, you must be in pain. You want something done about it, and not to be told, sorry, we can't do it. You'll have to come back next week. I think this is really a tragedy. This regime is collapsing, and unfortunately, it's dragging the whole nation down with it.
Oh, it's very sad, isn't it? Ramoyo there, what's your response to that?
Yeah, I think it's a reflection of the general decadence that we have in the health system. It really needs agent redress. But not only in the health system. I think the entire system needs to be revamped, and it needs to be revitalized. That is quite critical because most services are in short supply. In fact, 3-4 months back, I lost my nanny as well in Zimbabwe because she needed blood transfusion, and they couldn't get hold of India, and then those ones that were there didn't have the money, and she could not get the blood when she needed it. By the time she eventually
okay. Right, okay. Sorry, Wamoyo, but I just wanted a quick answer for you there. Who is to blame for shortage of drugs there?
All of us.
Oh, all right, thank you. Mukoma Benford. Mukoma Benford. Yes. Yes, Mukoma Benford. What did you make of it? Very briefly, please. Kuti wanokanzurirwa ma anesthetist akati we cannot keep doing we can't do any elective surgery there because the amount of analgesia that is needed to sustain anesthesia and post-operative care it's just not sustainable at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's a very sad story, and it's very unfortunate. It is an obvious sign here the collapse of the entire system. We know that our doctors they're capable of doing anything. That is why Wakakwansa separate even Masaimins Queens. But over the years we have seen this happening, and it's very sad and unfortunate. And Mugabe himself, he must be very ashamed. That he has destroyed the entire health system, and not only that, he has destroyed almost everything about education system, roads, infrastructure, everything. He has collapsed, and he must be ashamed of that. The sad part, though, DJ Sodza, what I witnessed was it this week or last week? A video ndakaona yevanhu vakanga vachikambena ku Norton. Now, when I see ordinary Zimbabweans dancing like that, it pains me. I even think what we need is not even to concentrate on the diaspora people, but we should find ways of going back to Zimbabwe on the ground, to rural areas, educate these people. These guys and it's a hopeless situation. With ZANU-PF, I don't see Zimbabwe going anywhere. So that is what the message that we must be focusing on, I think, at the moment. Educating people with ZANU-PF. I don't understand why they are not doing it.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Mukoma. Mukoma, teach.
Mukoma Sodza nditi ndozviya zvatotara tikati zvinongwa zvekuamerica hazvina clue yenhamo tiri kuprotest against. This puts it starkly clear. Yeah. Because we know what we are protesting against. Those people have no clue what we are protesting against or why they need to even be going against us. They don't know what we are protesting against. This is exactly what we are protesting against, the total deterioration of the social fabric. I'm very happy Mkomo actually called it decadent. You know, we are morally bankrupt because they go and get treated in Dubai, in Singapore, in South Africa, wherever else they can afford because they've got the money that they have stolen. How are they able to do it when the economy is comatose, when everything is going down for everybody else, if they're not stealing from the coffers? What business are they running that is so profitable that they're going to have an appendectomy in Singapore? Not at Harare Hospital, not at Parinyatwa, not at United Hospital, not at Mpilo, not at Kweri General, not at Mtari General, or Kwekwe General. These are referral centers I am talking about, or Mashingo General. So it is very clear that these moribunds are not is no clue what they are doing. All they are doing is now able to hire thugs to come and protest against the protests. It's the same thing that they have been doing with the IUDs, that they will raise the protest. When we have protested against legitimate consent, they go and hire youths from the rural areas promising them states to come and do counter demonstration. The MPF is now about counter demonstrations because clearly they can see that the people are demonstrating against them. So this is what it is. The issue to do with the shortage of drugs. Central medical stores, some of us who know how the tender system has always worked, has always relied on drugs being supplied by the private sector through a tender system. But the government started failing to pay companies generic drugs that are no longer under the license and can assure quality control, can manufacture. The world survives on generic drugs. Zimbabwe is no exception. So if you look at Lancaster pharmacies, we're manufacturing drugs, Caps were manufacturing drugs, they were all being nicely distributed. Everyone knew companies like Gattis were manufacturing drugs. Johnson & Johnson was the regional manager for them. Were manufacturing drugs. All these people stopped because government medical stores failed to pay for tendered goods. That's the simple truth. Way before sanctions, they started failing and they started rationing medication. And this has just come to a head. It's not new. It's been going on forever. It's why some of us who have been in ZANU-PF all our lives have decided enough is enough, because we have to learn to face up to the truth. So the truth of the matter at the moment is that this situation is not going to be reversible.
Okay. Thank you so much.
What needs to be done is to get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay. Sally, your last words there, please.
I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I mean, how they've managed to keep it going for the years that they have is a miracle all of its own. And I mean, the best part of it is Mugabe jumps on the plane and buggers off to Singapore, okay? And my guru, okay, can't have her ovaries removed because she's got a cancer scare, because the anesthetic is not there, the follow-up care is not there. I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? And you know the worst part of everything? Come elections, Mugabe's going to win again. That is the worst part of everything. He can treat the people like scum on the bottom of the ocean. But come election time, pambeni nezaro.
King Max from the jungle.
masikati vanenge sina mukangopfuura vanotanga kutozemena paita mbiri ndo pavanomema paita munhu waMwari ndo pavanosema havana zororo vana valusifa havana zororo vana valusifa havana zororo vana valusifa havana zororo vana valusifa vanopururudza kana munhu achifa vanofara pazvinongodzi zvafa usiku nesikati vanenge vachikugofa havana zororo vana valusifa vanopururudza kana munhu achifa vanofara pazvinongodzi zvafa vachikukoka vamwe havazi kurara nematsikirira vakanga vaine mwiri izvozvi vatotsikira akakupotsa anotoridza tsamwa kurara chikurongera semombe inokamwa vanongoroya pasina benefiti ukaita zvakanaka vanoti hazviiti havamborara vachiita mapipi chavo kuve kushungurudza vobuda voenda vamona zururu vana vanyusipa vanopururudza kana munhu achifa vanofara pazvinongodzi zvafa usiku nesikati vanenge vachikugofa vavana zururu vana vanyusipa vanopururudza kana munhu achifa vanofara pazvinongodzi zvafa usiku nesikati vanenge vachikugofa inowarwadza pauri upenyu hwako kusei wazosimuka waronga tunhu twako chaari kuda chete kuuraya nyama yako anokuroya chete haatore mari yako vanotiti vakafitwa nekurarama isu vamwe tose hatiko